Tiki and Tierney. How are you today, buddy?
I'm doing good, Tiki and Tierney. Nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah, man. Now, if I had this right, and I know you've written about this and discussed it, you don't have to really go too deeply into this, but just to establish this parameter, you got into wrestling when you somehow, I think you may have even hitchhiked. You got to the Garden, and you were there when Jimmy Snuka jumped off the cage and jumped on Morocco from the top of the steel cage, right?
Yeah, I certainly was. First of all, I want to thank Tiki for running the New York Marathon for Culture City. That's something an organization Tiki and I have in common. So thank you for everything you do, Tiki.
Nice.
Always, Mick.
And yeah, I was there, and that was the night I became a believer in what I call magical moments. These are just moments that people carry with them for decades or for the rest of their life, and you can't force it. You can't force a magic moment by will. There has to be a certain element in the atmosphere. And when we went off the air, we had a very contentious debate at the after Raw went off the air on the WWE Network. And I said the one thing I think we can agree on is that there's something special in the air about this Survivor Series. And we feel like, given that atmosphere, that a few of these superstars have a chance to create one of those moments that people will hold on to for a lifetime.
Now Goldberg returns to the ring in the Survivor Series. It's been a while since he's been there. What can we expect here?
Man, this is my guess, knowing the competitive nature of both Bill and Brock Lesnar, is that when they wrestled in 2004, I think they were glad to be leaving. I think Bill's contract was up. Brock was going to try his hand as being a Minnesota Viking. I don't think either of their hearts were in it.
Yeah, and it showed. It showed in the ring.
It looked, honestly, it looked like they were, main eventing a high school gym on a Sunday afternoon. And I don't like to say that, but it showed.
Yeah.
And I think for the last 12 years, it's bothered both of them. And you sit there on the couch and go, what if? And now these guys have a chance. I believe it's bothered Bill for 12 years, and I believe it's bothered Brock as well. And I think they will more than make up for it when they tie up on Sunday. I think it's going to get really physical in a hurry. And for the moms and dads watching Survivor Series exclusively on the WWE Network, they may want to have a backup plan when that match goes on, because it could, we're a PG show, but the pay-per-views are a different animal, and that one could get ugly in a hurry.
Oh, I love that. Hey, listen, I go back, Mick. I've told the story a few times. Matter of fact, it came up last week. I got into wrestling probably around 1980-ish, right around Backlund, the end of Backlund, Pedro Morales, all those names, them all, of course. And the reason I got into it is because my grandmother, you'll love this story, my grandmother used to go to the Garden, and may she rest in peace, Italian from Greenpoint, and she had, her twin sister passed away as well. But they would go, and they believed it was 100% authentic. It was totally real. And this one particular match, the Moondogs, Rex and Spot, were fighting. And my grandmother, this is a true story, took a water gun and filled it with vinegar. And when Rex of the Moondog duo flew out of the ring, she shot him in the eye with vinegar. This is my introduction to wrestling, man.
I believe that's a crime, isn't it?
Well, in 1980 it wasn't. Oh,
yeah, my God. But Brock has this ability that we call it suspending disbelief. So that when people are there, it does become legitimate. And I believe Brock Lesnar makes the suspension of disbelief easier than anyone since Terry Funk in his prime. And I know, I'll just give an example. Tiki's been around me and my kids, and I'm a pretty lax parent. I'm a pretty good parent, but pretty lax. I have one rule, and that's you can't drop F-bombs in the Foley house. But the night that Brock Lesnar was wrestling John Cena, it got so real in a hurry that my son Dewey was jumping up on the couch, and he was dropping those F-bombs. And I couldn't even be mad at him because he was doing it out of genuine concern for John Cena's life. That's how physical Brock can be. He was going, this isn't blanking wrestling, what the blank? And Brock makes it really, really easy. And I've asked Paul Heyman, like, what's it like to be out there? And he's like, it's physical. It's just really physical. And so Bill's Bill's a fighter. I mean, Bill's going to meet him. It's like the irresistible force meeting an immovable object, and it's going to be ugly in a good way.
There's a lot of juice for this, there's no doubt. We're talking to the great Mick Foley, WWE legend, also, of course, on-air GM of Raw, and you got Goldberg and Lesnar. Goldberg's been a while, since 2004, we said. You have 3 Raw versus SmackDown elimination matches. So you got a lot going on here, Teak. It should be a good card.
No, you're right. Mick, we had a conversation earlier. We're really talking about Jerry Jones and some of the stupid comments he's making about the lack of evidence that traumatic brain injury comes from playing football. You took a lot of hits when you were wrestling, and a lot of the guys you know have taken a lot of hits. This impact that comes from what you guys do for a living, do you guys worry about that? And because there's obviously a correlation, even if some people want to deny it.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely worry about it, and I think WWE has done a really good job of being on the forefront and changing things around. And I think the biggest difference, and this is probably goes for football too, is that it's no longer considered a sign of strength to pretend you're not hurt. That it takes a braver man to admit they're hurt. And I'm writing this Santa memoir I'm not writing it as we speak, but at this very time, a moment in time, I'm writing a Santa memoir, and I'm talking about how as I got older, it was really hard to accept that it was taking less and less to hurt me, worse and worse for longer and longer periods of time. And I wish that the science had been in then, and I wish I could have seen that the writing was on the wall. And WWE, thankfully, their impact test saved me, and had 2 neurologists tell me I should never wrestle again. And I really believe that they saved me from doing further harm to themselves.
Wow.
Now, with that being said, Bill and Brock on this one-time basis are probably there's going to be a lot of impact in that match. And I feel okay about it because Bill hasn't been in there in 12 years. And probably won't be in there for a long time afterward. But this is one of those cases where, there's going to be some serious physicality.
Wow. All right, before we let you run, Mick, I want to throw something by that came up on our show last week. And it happened pretty organically. We're talking about Conor McGregor and, just how he holds a room with the microphone and how all eyes are on him. And we kind of branched out to some old WWE stuff. We got into a fun debate about Hogan, and it's my very strong opinion, and it's been backed up by some others that are in the game, or were, including Taz. But I'll ask this for our clueless producer, who for some reason still doesn't believe me. Can you please tell him that there was a point in WWE history that Roddy Piper was equal in popularity to Hulk Hogan? Can you please tell him?
Yeah, I believe there was. Yeah, I think some people look at Roddy, and it hurt me to see them, even in the great memorial that WWE did, Roddy say he only held 1 title. And Roddy was a guy so popular, he didn't need a title. He traveled the globe, and he didn't need a title. Yeah, I'd say he was equal, at least for a short time.
Bingo.
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Listen, this is going to be fun. Air Canada Center is a cool venue. Toronto is a great city. Mick Foley, legend, WWE, on-air GM of Raw. Goldberg, Lesnar,